Sometimes the worst mistakes of your life don't feel like mistakes when you're making them. They feel like survival, like the only choice you have. I made my worst mistake 25 years ago, and I've been paying for it every single day since. My phone rang on a Tuesday morning in November. Cold outside, gray skies. The kind of day that makes you want to stay in bed and pretend the world doesn't exist. I was making coffee in my kitchen in Canada. My husband was already at work. My kids were at school. The house was quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator and my own breathing. Mom's name flashed on the screen. I almost didn't answer. My mother and I have a complicated relationship. We talk maybe once a month. Polite conversations about nothing important. Weather, work, the kids, surface-level stuff that doesn't require either of us to be honest. But something made me pick up the phone. "Beth," she said. Her voice was wrong, shaky. "I have bad news." My stomach dropped. "What happened?" "It's Cara. There was an accident. A car accident. She didn't make it." The coffee mug slipped from my hand, shattered on the tile floor, brown liquid spreading everywhere. Cara, the girl who knew all my secrets, the one person besides one other who knew the real me, dead. I stood there in my kitchen, surrounded by broken ceramic and spilled coffee, and felt my carefully constructed life crack right down the middle. Because Cara dying meant I'd have to go home. Back to that small town in Washington, back to all the memories I'd spent 25 years trying to bury, back to where she might be. The girl I loved, the girl I lost, the girl I've never stopped thinking about even though I haven't seen her in 25 years. Amber. Let me tell you who I am now before I tell you who I used to be. I'm Beth, 44 years old. I live in a nice house in a nice neighborhood in Canada. I have 2 kids, Emma, who's 14, and Jake, who's 12. I have a husband named David who works in finance and comes home every night at 6:30. From the outside, my life looks perfect. Good job in marketing, beautiful children, stable marriage, the kind of life people are supposed to want. But I wake up every morning next to a man I don't love and feel like I'm suffocating. David is a good man. That's the worst part. He's kind, he's responsible, he's a great father. He doesn't drink too much or yell or cheat. He's exactly the kind of husband anyone would want, except I don't want him. I never did. We got married because that's what I was supposed to do. Because my parents found me a nice man and I was 22 and broken and tired of fighting. So I said yes. I put on the white dress. I smiled for the photos. I pretended I was happy, and I've been pretending ever since. We have sex maybe once a month. Mechanical. Efficient, he finishes. I fake it. We roll over and go to sleep. He never asks if I enjoyed it. I never tell him I didn't. We don't talk about anything real. We discuss the kids, the bills, what we're having for dinner, but we never talk about feelings or dreams or who we really are. Because he doesn't know who I really am. Nobody does. Except Cara knew. And Amber knew. And now Cara was dead, and I'd have to go back to that town and face everything I'd been running from for 25 years. After I hung up with my mom, I just stood there, staring at the mess on the floor. Coffee seeping into the grout. Pieces of ceramic scattered everywhere. I should have cleaned it up. Should have gotten dressed. Should have called David at work and told him. Instead, I went upstairs, sat on the edge of my bed, pulled out my phone. I tried searching for Amber, typed her married name into Instagram, Morrison. That's what my mom had mentioned once, years ago, when I'd asked casually about people from town. Nothing came up. No profile, no photos. I tried Facebook, same thing. No Amber Morrison from Chicago. No Amber from our hometown. It was like she didn't exist online at all. Maybe she wasn't on social media. Maybe she used a completely different name. Maybe she'd disappeared as thoroughly as I had. I put my phone away, stared at nothing. Cara was dead, and I had no way of knowing if Amber would even come to the funeral. No way of reaching out. No way of preparing myself. I'd just have to go and hope. Hope that maybe, after 25 years, I'd see her again. Hope that maybe this time things would be different. But hope is dangerous. I'd learned that lesson the hard way. The funeral was in 5 days. I told David I'd go alone. He barely looked up from his laptop. You sure? I can take time off if you need support. No, it's fine. It's just a few days. You stay with the kids. Relief flashed across his face. He didn't want to go. Didn't want to spend days in a small town making polite conversation with people he didn't know, and I didn't want him there. Didn't want him seeing that place, those people. That version of me I'd worked so hard to kill. I packed a small bag, black dress for the funeral, jeans and sweaters for the other days. My hands were shaking the whole time. Because I was going alone for a reason. If Amber came to the funeral, I wanted to be free to talk to her, to see her, to finally, after 25 years, understand what happened to the girl I loved. I couldn't do that with David standing beside me, playing the devoted husband, reminding me of the life I'd chosen instead of the one I wanted. So I was going alone, and maybe, just maybe, I'd get to see her again. The flight to Washington felt like traveling back in time, every mile taking me closer to who I used to be, to the girl I was before everything fell apart. I'd grown up in that small town, one of those places where secrets are impossible to keep, where being different means being wrong. I knew every street, every building, every corner where something important had happened. The coffee shop where I had my first kiss with a girl, the movie theater where everything started to unravel, the park where we used to meet after midnight when our parents thought we were sleeping. All of it was rushing back as the plane descended. My mom picked me up from the airport. She looked older, more lines around her eyes, gray hair where there used to be brown. But her hug was the same, tight, protective. I'm so sorry about Cara, she said as we drove toward town. Me too. She was one of the good ones. She was. Mom was quiet for a moment. Then, the funeral is tomorrow at 11. At the church. Okay. Lots of people are coming. Everyone loved Cara. Yeah. Another pause. Then Mom said carefully, I heard her old friend is coming too. From Chicago. My heart stopped. Amber. You remember Amber, don't you? She lives in Chicago now. I heard she's coming for the funeral. The world tilted. I couldn't breathe, couldn't speak. Could only stare out the window at the familiar houses passing by. She was coming. After 25 years of silence, of wondering, of missing her every single day, I was going to see her again. Tomorrow. I didn't sleep that night. Lay in my childhood bed, staring at the ceiling. This room, this exact room where so much had happened, where it all began when I was 17. When I first realized I looked at girls the way I was supposed to look at boys. I remembered being terrified, ashamed, certain there was something wrong with me. The year 2000 in a small religious town wasn't exactly progressive. Being gay wasn't just different. It was sin. It was wrong. It was something to be fixed or hidden. So I hid it. Dated boys I didn't care about. Kissed them and felt nothing. Pretended I was normal until Amber. Amber, who lived 3 houses down, who I'd known my whole life, who was my friend and then one summer became everything else. We were both 19 that summer, both home from our first year of college, both working part-time jobs to save money. We ended up working at the same place. A little cafe on Main Street. Nothing fancy. Just coffee and sandwiches for locals and the occasional tourist passing through. We'd always been friends. But that summer, something shifted. I'd catch her looking at me when she thought I wasn't paying attention. She'd catch me doing the same. We started finding excuses to work the same shifts, to close up together, to be alone. And then one afternoon in late July, everyone else had left early. It was just us in the empty cafe. Sun coming through the windows, radio playing quietly in the background. I asked her what was wrong. She said nothing was wrong. Then she said she needed to tell me something, that she'd been trying to tell me for weeks, but kept losing her nerve. I put down the cloth I was holding, walked over to her, asked what it was, and she looked me straight in the eyes and said, "I think I'm in love with you." The world stopped when she said those words. Everything stopped. The music, the traffic outside, my own heartbeat. I just stared at her. This girl I'd known my whole life. This beautiful blonde girl with sky blue eyes who was telling me she loved me. And instead of being scared or confused, I felt relief. Like I'd been holding my breath for years and could finally exhale, because I loved her too. Had loved her for months without admitting it, without letting myself even think it. I didn't say anything, just crossed the space between us and kissed her. Right there in that cafe with the door unlocked and the windows uncovered and anyone could have walked in. I kissed her and she kissed me back, and it was like coming home. Like finding something I didn't know I'd been looking for my whole life. When we finally pulled apart, we were both shaking, both crying, both terrified and exhilarated. She asked if I felt the same way, if I loved her too. I told her, yes, that I'd been in love with her for so long I couldn't remember when it started. We stood there in that empty cafe holding each other, making promises we had no idea how to keep, talking about a future we couldn't begin to imagine. We were 19 and in love and completely naive about what that would cost us. That was the beginning. The summer of 2000, the summer everything changed. The summer before everything fell apart. We kept it secret at first. Obviously, this was a small town, a religious town. We both knew what would happen if people found out, so we were careful. Only showed affection when we were completely alone. Acted like friends in public. Made sure no one suspected anything. But being in love when you're 19 makes you reckless, makes you feel invincible, makes you believe you can get away with anything. We started taking risks. We'd meet at the park after midnight, climb over the fence, sit on the swings in the dark, and kiss until we couldn't breathe. Talk about running away together, about moving to a city where no one knew us, where we could be ourselves. We'd drive out to the lookout point in the hills, park where no one could see us, make out in the backseat of her car with the windows fogged up and our clothes half off. We'd go to each other's houses when our parents weren't home, lock the bedroom door, explore each other's bodies with shaking hands and racing hearts. Cara knew about us. She'd figured it out within a week, saw the way we looked at each other, the way we'd disappear at the same time during group hangouts. But Cara was good people. She never told anyone, never judged, actually helped us. She'd invite a bunch of people over to her house, and then make sure Amber and I ended up alone in the basement. She'd create cover stories, tell our parents we were all going to the movies, when really she'd drop us off somewhere private and pick us up later. She was our ally, our protector, the only person who knew and supported us. God, I'm going to miss her. Our first time together happened in August. Late August, right before we were supposed to go back to college. My parents were going out of town for the weekend, some church retreat. They asked if I wanted to come. I said no, said I had to work. The truth was, I'd already planned it. Already told Amber my parents would be gone. Already invited her over. Cara was supposed to come too, as cover. So if any neighbors saw cars in the driveway, they'd think we were having a normal friend hangover. But the morning of, Cara called SAD, she couldn't make it. Some family thing came up. I knew she was lying. Knew she was giving us privacy on purpose. So it was just Amber and me, alone in my house for an entire weekend. She came over around noon. We pretended we were going to watch movies, eat junk food. Normal teenage stuff. But we both knew what was really going to happen. We tried to act casual at first. Put on a movie, made popcorn, sat on opposite ends of the couch like we weren't dying to touch each other. That lasted maybe 20 minutes. Then Amber said it was hot. Asked if we could go swimming in my backyard pool. I said yes, even though it wasn't that hot. We went upstairs to change. She used the bathroom. I used my bedroom. When we met in the hallway wearing our swimsuits, we both stopped, just looked at each other. She was wearing a blue one-piece. Simple, nothing special. Her blonde hair loose around her shoulders. Her skin tan from summer sun. I couldn't stop staring. She couldn't stop staring at me either. We went down to the pool, got in. The water was cool and perfect. We swam for maybe 5 minutes. Then we were in the shallow end, standing close, water up to our waists, looking at each other, and then we were kissing, deep, desperate. I pulled back, asked if she wanted to go inside, to my room. She said yes. We went upstairs dripping wet, leaving puddles on the carpet, not caring, too focused on each other to think about anything else. My room, my childhood bedroom with its posters and stuffed animals, and the bed I'd slept in since I was 10. We stood there in our wet swimsuits, water dripping onto the floor, both of us shaking but not from cold. I asked if she was sure, if this was what she wanted. She said yes. Said she'd never been more sure of anything. I kissed her, slow, tender, trying to memorize the moment. Then I reached behind her, started to untie her swimsuit. She helped me. We shed our swimsuits piece by piece, standing there naked and vulnerable and scared and excited all at once. I'd never been with anyone before, not really. I'd kissed boys, but it never felt like anything. Never made me feel the way I felt right then. She hadn't either. We were both figuring it out together. We moved to the bed, lay down facing each other, just looking, learning each other's bodies. I traced my fingers along her collarbone, down her arm, across her hip. She shivered under my touch. She did the same to me. Gentle, exploring, her fingers leaving trails of heat on my skin. We kissed for what felt like hours. Deep kisses, soft kisses, urgent kisses. Our bodies pressed together, learning how to move, how to touch. What made each other gasp? I moved my hand lower, between her legs. She opened for me. Let me explore. Let me discover what she liked. She was warm and wet, and she made the softest sounds when I touched her the right way. I took my time, watched her face, learned what made her arch, what made her grip my shoulders, what made her say my name like a prayer. When she came, she cried, held on to me like I was the only solid thing in the world. Afterward, she kissed me and said it was my turn. She touched me the same way I'd touched her, careful, curious, learning as she went, and it felt like nothing I'd ever experienced. Every nerve in my body was on fire. Every touch sent sparks through me. She moved down, kissed my neck, my chest, my stomach, lower. I'd never had anyone do that before. Never even imagined it would feel like this. When her mouth found me, I forgot how to breathe, forgot everything except the sensation of her tongue. Her lips, the way she was making me feel. The pleasure built slowly, then faster, rising like a wave I couldn't control. My whole body was tensing, reaching for it. Almost there. I was about to go over the edge, about to feel something I'd never felt before. And then I heard the door open, heard my mother's voice screaming, "What the hell are you doing?" Everything stopped. The pleasure, the moment. I looked up and my mother was standing in the doorway, her face white, her hand over her mouth, staring at us, at me and Amber, both naked. In my bed, Amber between my legs. There was no explaining this, no hiding it, no pretending it was anything other than what it was. We scrambled to cover ourselves, grabbed sheets, tried to hide our bodies, but it was too late. She'd seen everything. My mother just stood there, not moving, not speaking, just staring at us with this look of horror and disgust. Then she turned and walked out, slammed the door behind her. And I knew, right then, everything was about to fall apart. Amber and I got dressed in silence, shaking, terrified, not looking at each other. I could hear my mother downstairs, on the phone, her voice rising, angry, probably calling my father. Amber was crying, apologizing, saying this was her fault. I told her it wasn't, that we didn't do anything wrong, that we loved each other and that shouldn't be a crime. But even as I said it, I knew it didn't matter. Not here. Not in this town. We went downstairs. My mother was in the kitchen, phone still in her hand. She looked at us with such hatred I actually stepped back. She told Amber to leave, to go home, to never come near me again. Amber looked at me, asked if she should go. I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted her to stay, to face this together, but another part knew it would only make things worse. So I told her to go, that I'd call her later. She left, and I was alone with my mother. My mother, who spent the next 2 hours screaming at me, calling me names, telling me I was sick, broken, sinful, an abomination. She said I'd brought shame on our family, that everyone would know, that I'd ruined everything. I tried to explain, tried to tell her I loved Amber, that this was who I was, that I couldn't change it. She said I was confused, that this was a phase, that I needed help, professional help. When my father got home, it was worse. He didn't yell. He just looked at me with such disappointment I wished he'd yell instead. He said I couldn't see Amber anymore, that it was over, that I was forbidden from contacting her. I said no. Said they couldn't keep me from her, that I was 19, an adult. He said as long as I lived under their roof, I'd follow their rules. And if I didn't like it, I could leave. So I said fine. I'd leave. I'd move out. I'd be with Amber, and they couldn't stop me. That's when my mother told me about Canada. My aunt lived in Canada, my mother's sister. She was more liberal, more accepting. My parents had never approved of her lifestyle, but now suddenly they wanted me to go stay with her for a few months, to clear my head, to get away from Amber and this sinful relationship. I said no, absolutely not. I wasn't leaving, but my father said I didn't have a choice. They'd already bought the plane ticket. I was leaving in 3 days. I tried calling Amber. My mother had disconnected the landline. I was basically under house arrest. That night, I snuck out, climbed out my window like I'd done so many times before, ran to Amber's house. I threw pebbles at her window until she opened it. She looked terrified. Said her dad knew, that someone had called him, told him everything. I asked if I could come up. She said no. Her dad was watching her. She wasn't allowed to see me either. We stood there, me in the yard, her at the window, both of us crying. I told her about Canada, about leaving in 3 days. She asked what we were going to do. I said I didn't know, but I wouldn't go. I'd refuse. I'd run away. Anything to stay with her. She said maybe I should go. Maybe it would be safer. Maybe after a few months things would calm down and I could come back. I said no, that we couldn't be apart, that we'd promised to be together. But even as I said it, I could hear the doubt in my voice, because I was scared, terrified actually, of my parents, of the town, of what would happen if I stayed. Amber's dad appeared behind her, told her to shut the window, to get away from me. She looked at me one last time, mouthed, "I love you." Then the window closed, and I walked home knowing everything was falling apart and I had no idea how to stop it. The next 2 days were a nightmare. I was basically locked in my house, my parents watching me constantly, making sure I didn't contact Amber, didn't try to run. Word had spread through town. My mother's church friends knew. My father's co-workers knew. Everyone knew. People would drive by our house slowly, staring, judging. Someone spray-painted something on our garage door. My father had to paint over it before I could see what it said. But I knew, I could imagine. My uncle called. The one who'd seen us at the movies weeks earlier. He'd seen us kissing in the back row. Hadn't said anything then. But after my mother caught us, he'd told everyone. Said he'd known all along, that we were sick, perverted. He told my father I needed conversion therapy, that there were camps, programs, places that could fix me. My father said no, that sending me to Canada was enough, that I just needed distance from Amber and I'd realize this was all a mistake. But I knew it wasn't a mistake. Knew this was who I was, who I'd always been. I just didn't know how to fight for it anymore. On the third day, my parents drove me to the airport. I didn't say goodbye to anyone. Didn't get to see Amber one last time. Didn't get to explain or apologize or promise to come back. I just got on a plane and left. Left Amber, left our town, left everything. And I told myself it was temporary, that I'd come back in a few months, that we'd figure it out. But deep down, I knew the truth. I was running away, giving up, choosing the easy path instead of fighting for what I wanted. And that decision would haunt me for the next 25 years. Canada was supposed to be temporary, a few months to let things cool down. Then I'd go back. Back to Amber, back to our life. But my aunt had other ideas. She was kind, understanding. She didn't think there was anything wrong with me, said being gay was normal, natural, that I shouldn't be ashamed. She helped me enroll in a college there, got me set up in a dorm, said I could stay as long as I needed. I tried to contact Amber, called her house, her father answered, told me never to call again, hung up. I wrote letters, sent them to her address, never got responses. Found out later her father was intercepting them, throwing them away. I tried to reach Cara. She told me Amber and her father had moved, left town, gone to Chicago where her dad got a teaching job at a different school. The scandal had destroyed his reputation. Parents were pulling kids from his classes, saying he'd raised a deviant daughter, that he couldn't be trusted around children. So they ran, just like I'd run. And suddenly Amber was in Chicago and I was in Canada, and we had no way to reach each other. Months passed. I tried to move on, tried to focus on school, on building a new life. I dated a little, went out with a girl from my psychology class. It was nice, but it wasn't Amber. Nothing was Amber. After 6 months, I tried to go back home, told my aunt I needed to see my parents, to talk to them. But when I called to tell them I was coming, my mother said no, said I wasn't welcome. Not until I'd gotten over this sickness, this sin. So I stayed in Canada, finished college, got a job, started building a life I never wanted. And slowly, painfully, I stopped trying to find Amber, stopped believing we'd ever see each other again, stopped believing in happy endings. When I was 22, my mother called, said she'd found someone for me, a nice man, name is David. He was from a good family, had a good job, would make a good husband. She said it was time for me to get married, to start a real life, to put all that nonsense behind me. I said no at first, said I didn't want to marry a man, that I wasn't interested. She said I didn't have a choice, that I was getting older, that if I wanted any relationship with my family, I needed to do this. My aunt told me not to listen, that I should live my truth, that marrying someone I didn't love would destroy me. But I was tired, so tired of fighting, of being alone, of missing Amber every single day, with no hope of ever seeing her again. So I said yes, met David. He was nice, polite, boring but harmless. He had no idea I was gay, no idea I was settling, no idea he was my escape from an identity I didn't know how to live with anymore. We dated for 6 months. He proposed. I said yes. We got married in a small ceremony. My parents came, smiled for photos, acted like everything was perfect. I wore white, walked down the aisle, said my vows, and I felt nothing, absolutely nothing. On our wedding night, David was gentle, patient. He thought I was nervous because I was a virgin. I let him believe that. Let him think the reason I wasn't responding was inexperience, not lack of attraction. Afterward, I lay next to him in the dark and thought about Amber, wondered where she was, if she was happy, if she ever thought about me. And I cried silently while my new husband slept beside me, completely unaware that he'd just married someone who would never truly be his. The next 20 years passed in a blur of pretending. I got pregnant with Emma a year after we married. Then Jake, 2 years after that. I loved my children, loved them desperately. They were the only real thing in my fake life. But being a mother while living a lie was its own kind of torture. Every time Emma asked about love, about relationships, about how I knew Daddy was the one, I had to lie. Every time I gave her advice about being true to herself, I felt like a hypocrite. Because I wasn't true to myself, I'd given up, married someone I didn't love, built a life on deception. David and I existed more than lived. We were roommates who occasionally had obligatory sex, parents who coordinated schedules, to people going through the motions of marriage without any real connection. He never seemed to notice. Or if he did, he never said anything. Maybe he was content with surface level. Maybe he didn't want anything deeper either. Years passed. Emma grew up. Jake grew up. I got older, grayer, more tired. I thought about Amber constantly. Wondered if she'd done the same thing, if she'd married a man, had kids, built a fake life because it was easier than being honest. I tried looking for her online a few times over the years. Never found anything. No social media presence. No trace of her anywhere. It was like she'd vanished completely. Maybe she had. Maybe she'd moved on. Maybe she'd found happiness somehow. I hoped she had. Even if it meant she'd forgotten about me, about us, about the love we'd shared for one perfect summer. I hoped at least one of us had managed to be happy. So that's who I was when my mother called about Cara, a 44-year-old woman living a lie, trapped in a marriage I never wanted, mother to children who deserved better than a parent who was only half present. And that's who I was when I got on the plane to Washington, when I went back to that small town for the first time in 25 years. Someone who'd given up on being herself so long ago she barely remembered who that person was. But as the plane landed, as my mother drove me through familiar streets, something started waking up inside me. That girl I used to be, the one who'd loved fearlessly, the one who'd believed love was worth fighting for, she was still in there somewhere. Buried under years of pretending, but still there. And tomorrow I might see Amber again. The girl who'd loved me back. The girl I'd never stopped missing. I had no idea what I'd say to her. No idea if she'd even want to talk to me. But I knew I had to try. Had to see her one more time, even if it changed nothing. Even if we were both too far gone to ever find our way back. I had to try. The church was already full when I arrived the next morning. Small-town funerals are like that. Everyone shows up whether they knew the person well or not. I wore my black dress, simple, conservative hair, pulled back in a neat bun, trying to look composed even though I felt like I was coming apart inside. I found a seat near the back, kept my head down while people filed in around me, familiar faces everywhere. Classmates I hadn't seen in decades, now middle-aged with kids of their own. Teachers who'd retired, neighbors who'd watched me grow up. Some recognized me, nodded politely. Some whispered to each other, probably remembering the scandal. The gay girl who'd run away, let them whisper. I was beyond caring what they thought. The organ was playing softly. People were taking their seats. The service would start in a few minutes. I kept my eyes on my lap, trying to breathe normally, trying not to think about the fact that she might walk through those doors any second. And then I felt it. That awareness, that electric pull I'd only ever felt with one person. I looked up and saw her. Not Amber, not yet. A girl, 15 maybe, walking down the center aisle with her head slightly bowed, long blonde hair in waves past her shoulders, delicate features, moving with this careful grace like she was trying not to take up too much space. My heart stopped. For one impossible second, I thought I was hallucinating, thought I was seeing Amber at 19 again, thought time had somehow folded back on itself, because this girl looked exactly like Amber had, exactly the same hair, the same face, the same everything. Then reality caught up. This wasn't Amber. This was Amber's daughter. Had to be. Which meant Amber was here, somewhere. My hands started shaking. I gripped the pew in front of me, tried to stay calm, tried to breathe. The girl slid into a pew on the left side of the church, sat down, looked around with curious blue eyes. And then someone else appeared beside her. Time stopped. Amber, 25 years older, but unmistakably her. Still blonde, though darker now, honey-colored instead of the bright sunshine I remembered. Still beautiful in a way that made my chest physically ache. She wore a simple black dress, small earrings, no other jewelry. Her face had aged, fine lines around her eyes, a certain weariness that came from living. But it was her, those eyes, that face. She sat beside her daughter, put her arm around the girl's shoulders, whispered something that made her daughter nod, and I couldn't look away, couldn't breathe, couldn't do anything except stare at her like a drowning person stares at shore. 25 years, 25 years of missing her, wondering about her, dreaming about her. And here she was, real, alive, 20 feet away from me. She was smoothing her daughter's hair. Such a tender maternal gesture. I wondered what her life had been like, if she was happy, if she'd managed to build something real, or if she was as hollow as I was. The organ music swelled. The pastor stepped up to the pulpit. People settled into their seats. The service was about to start. And then, as if she could feel my gaze, as if some invisible thread still connected us after all this time, Amber turned her head. Our eyes met across the church. I watched recognition flash across her face, watched her go completely still, watched her hand come up to her throat like she couldn't breathe. For 5 heartbeats, we just stared at each other. Everything else disappeared. The church, the people, the organ music. There was only her face and the 25 years of missing, her crashing over me like a wave. Then she looked away, turned back to her daughter. Her hands were trembling. I could see them shaking in her lap even from here. She didn't look at me again during the entire service, but I couldn't stop looking at her. Part of me wanted Amber there at the funeral, like seeing her one last time would calm something inside me. But the moment I spotted her, this strange weight settled in my chest. It wasn't relief. It felt like regret. Like she shouldn't have walked into this place, into this moment, into my head again. My thoughts kept spinning. What was I even hoping for? Why did this feel so wrong? My hands were shaking, and all I could feel was anxiety creeping up on me. I don't remember anything about Cara's funeral. Didn't hear the hymns, didn't process the eulogy, didn't register anything the pastor said about her life and how much she'd meant to people. I just sat there with my heart, trying to escape my chest, hyper-aware of Amber 20 feet away. Every time she moved, I noticed. Every time she reached up to wipe her eyes, I felt it. Every breath she took. She was crying, for Cara, obviously, but maybe for other things too. Other losses that couldn't be named in churches. I stood up, but didn't move toward the exit. Just watched Amber and her daughter leave their pew. Watched them pause to speak with Cara's mother. A brief hug, quiet words, then they headed toward the doors. I couldn't let her leave. Couldn't let another 25 years pass without at least speaking to her, without hearing her voice, without knowing if she felt anything at all. I pushed through the crowd as politely as I could. Excused myself, past old neighbors and former classmates. Made it outside into the cold November air. Amber and her daughter were walking toward the parking lot. The girl was saying something about the church, about the stained glass windows, how beautiful they were. Amber was nodding but clearly not listening. Her face was pale, distant. I called out before I could stop myself. Amber. She stopped, went completely still, like someone had pressed pause on her entire body. Then slowly, so slowly, she turned around. Up close, she was even more devastating. Those lines around her eyes somehow made her more beautiful. There was a slight crease between her brows. But those eyes, God, those blue eyes were exactly the same. Beth, she said, my name in her voice after 25 years. It sounded like coming home, like losing everything, both at once. We stood there staring at each other. Her daughter looked between us with confusion on her young face. "I'll be right back," Amber told her daughter. Her voice was carefully controlled. "Wait by the car, Sophie." The girl nodded and walked away, glanced back once with curiosity before disappearing into the parking lot. Left us standing there on the church steps. People filing past, some glancing our way, some probably remembering. "Hi," I managed. So articulate after 25 years. "Hi." Her voice was quieter than I remembered, like something inside her had been turned down. "I didn't know if you'd come. I had to." Cara was my best friend. Mine too. She wrapped her arms around herself even though it wasn't that cold. A protective gesture. "This is awful. I still can't believe she's gone." "Me neither." Silence stretched between us, heavy, painful. "Your daughter is beautiful," I said finally. Safe territory. "She looks exactly like you did at that age." Something flickered across her face. Pain, maybe. "Her name is Sophie. She's 15. She wanted to see my hometown. That's why I brought her." I didn't want to, but she kept asking. There was fear in how she said it. Like bringing her daughter here terrified her. "How have you been?" Inadequate question. But what else could I ask? "Good. Fine, you know." She still wasn't looking directly at me, staring somewhere past my shoulder. "You?" "Same, good, fine." We were both lying. We both knew it. Then Amber said something that changed everything. "I saw your post about Cara. That old photo of the three of us." My heart skipped. "You did? I didn't think you were on social media. I tried looking for you but couldn't find anything." "I'm not. Not really." She finally met my eyes. They were wet. "I have a fake account, a private one. I've been following you for years, Beth. Watching your life from a distance. Seeing your kids grow up. Seeing you smile in photos, and wondering if any of it was real." Her confession hit me like a physical blow. All this time, all these years, she'd been watching me, following my carefully constructed fake life, seeing my posts about my perfect family, my perfect marriage. "Why didn't you ever reach out?" My voice came out rough. "Because I was terrified. Because I thought watching from far away would be easier than actually talking to you and realizing how much I'd lost." A tear slid down her cheek. "Because I'm a coward, Beth. I've been a coward about everything since we got torn apart." "You're not a coward." "Yes, I am. I've been afraid of everything for 25 years. Afraid of what people think. Afraid my past will come out. Afraid my family will find out who I really am." She laughed, but it was bitter. "I live my whole life afraid, every single day." I wanted to pull her into my arms, tell her I understood because I lived the same way. But we were standing on church steps with people around us. "I'm staying in town for a few days," I said. "At my mom's maybe we could talk, really talk." She hesitated, looked back toward where her daughter waited. "I don't know if that's a good idea. Please, just coffee. 1 hour we don't have to talk about anything heavy." We both knew that was a lie. "Where are you staying?" I pressed. "The Hampton Inn, on Route 9. Sophie wanted to stay a few extra days. See the town. Tomorrow morning, 10. There's a coffee place downtown." She was quiet for so long I thought she'd say no. Then finally, "Okay, tomorrow. 10, okay?" We stood there another moment, neither wanting to leave, neither knowing what else to say. Sophie called from the parking lot. "Mom, we should go." Amber took a step back. "I have to go." "I know." "Tomorrow?" she said again, like she needed to confirm it was real. "Tomorrow." She walked away, got into a rental car with her daughter, drove off, and I stood there feeling like I'd just been given something precious and terrifying and impossible. I didn't sleep that night. Lay in my childhood bed, going over every second of seeing her. Every word, every expression. She'd been watching me for years, through a fake account. looking at photos of my kids, my husband, my lies. What had she thought? Had she been hurt, jealous, relieved that I'd moved on even though I hadn't really moved on at all? Around 3 in the morning, I gave up on sleep, went downstairs, found my mom sitting at the kitchen table with tea. "Can't sleep?" she asked. "No." She gestured to the chair across from her. I sat. We were quiet for a moment. Then I said, "I saw Amber today." Mom nodded. "I figured you would. She looks good. Different, but good. Are you going to talk to her?" "Tomorrow, we're meeting for coffee." Mom studied me. "Beth, I need to tell you something. Something I should have told you 25 years ago." "What?" "I'm sorry for what your father and I did. For sending you away, for tearing you two apart." Her eyes filled with tears. "We thought we were protecting you, but we were just scared. Scared of what people would say, scared of being different, scared of losing our standing in the community. You think I don't know you're miserable, that I can't see it every time you visit." She wiped her eyes. "You're my daughter. I can see you dying inside that marriage, and it's my fault. I destroyed your life because I cared more about what the church ladies thought than about your happiness." I'd waited 25 years to hear those words, and now that I had them, they felt insufficient, because sorry couldn't give me back what I'd lost. "It's too late now," I said quietly. "We both have families, kids, lives. Is it too late, or are you just still scared?" I didn't have an answer. I got to the coffee shop at 9:45 the next morning. Too early, but I couldn't wait. The place was modern, clean, nothing like the old cafe where Amber and I had worked. That place had been demolished years ago. I ordered coffee, black, found a table by the window, watched the street. At exactly 10 o'clock, a car pulled up. Amber got out. Alone this time. She saw me through the window. Our eyes met. She took a deep breath like she was preparing for battle. Then she came inside. Jeans and a soft blue sweater, hair loose, minimal makeup. She looked more like the girl I remembered than she had at the funeral. "Hi," she said, slid into the seat across from me. "Hi, do you want coffee? I'll get it." She ordered some complicated latte, came back. We sat in awkward silence. Then we both started talking at the same time. "I'm sorry about yesterday. I was just shocked," she was saying. "I can't believe you've been following me. I had no idea," I was saying. We stopped, laughed nervously. "You go first," I said. She took a sip of her latte. "I don't even know where to start." "Start with what happened after. After you left." She took a breath. "My dad and I moved to Chicago. He got a teaching job there. We lived in a small apartment near the school. He was devastated, not because I was gay, because of how the town treated us, how parents pulled their kids from his classes, how people whispered. He felt like he'd failed me. It wasn't his fault, I know, but he blamed himself, spent years apologizing, and I blamed myself for ruining his life." She looked up at me. "I tried to find you, tried to call, write letters. But my dad said your parents made it clear we weren't supposed to contact each other, that it would only make things worse. I tried to, wrote letters, called your house. Your dad hung up on me. He was trying to protect me. Thought a clean break would be easier. Was it easier? No. It was torture." Silence fell between us. "Did you ever think about me?" I asked quietly. "Every day. Every single day for 25 years. Tears were streaming down my face. I didn't bother wiping them away. "I did the same thing," I whispered. "I married someone I don't love, had kids, built this whole life, and none of it means anything. I did the same. Got married at 23, got pregnant right away. Had Sophie and then Lily 2 years later. Her own tears were falling now. And every moment felt hollow, like I was watching someone else live my life while the real me was locked away somewhere." We sat there holding our coffee cups and crying. "I never stopped loving you," I said. "I never stopped loving you either." The air between us changed, electric, dangerous. Beth, she said softly, what are we doing? I don't know. But I know I can't let you walk away again without spending real time with you. Sophie leaves tomorrow. Her flight is at noon. After that, I'm here alone for 2 more days. My heart was pounding. Stay. Let me show you everything. Our town, our places. Let's just be us for 2 days. That's dangerous. I know, we could get hurt. We're already hurt. We've been hurt for 25 years. I held her gaze. 2 days. That's all I'm asking. She was quiet, searching my face. Then she nodded. Okay. After Sophie leaves. 2 days. Yeah, 2 days. We talked for 3 more hours about our lives, our kids, our marriages that were really just performances. She had 2 daughters, Sophie and Lily, who was 12. Both beautiful, both growing up thinking their mother was happily married to their father Mark. Mark was a lawyer, good man, good father. Gave her everything except what she actually needed, which was to be seen, known, loved for who she really was. I told her about David, about Emma and Jake, about going through motions, about dying a little more every day. We're a mess, she said. But she was almost smiling. The biggest mess. 25 years and we're still letting fear control us. Pathetic, really. She laughed. Actually laughed. The sound made something frozen in my chest start to thaw. The next day felt endless. I kept checking my phone, waiting. Finally, at 12:30, she's gone. Where should I meet you? I sent her my mom's address. Told her to come over. My mom wasn't home. We'd have privacy. She arrived 20 minutes later. I watched through the window as she parked, as she walked up the driveway, as she hesitated at the door. I opened it before she could knock. For a moment, we just stood there. Then she stepped inside and I closed the door, and suddenly we were alone for the first time in 25 years. Hi, she said. Hi. This house looks exactly the same. Nothing here changes. She turned to face me. We were standing too close. I could smell her perfume, something light. What do you want to do? She asked. I want to show you everything. But first, I reached out, touched her face. Her skin was soft, warm, real. First, I just need to make sure you're actually here. She leaned into my touch, closed her eyes. I'm here. I'm really here. I've missed you so much. I've missed you too. We stood there in my mother's hallway. 25 years of longing building between us. Then she opened her eyes, looked at me with raw need. Beth, she whispered. Yeah. Can I kiss you? I answered by closing the distance, by pressing my lips to hers, by threading my fingers through her hair and pulling her close, and just like that, 25 years disappeared. Her lips were exactly as I remembered, soft, sweet, hesitant at first, like she was afraid this wasn't real. I kissed her harder, deeper, pouring 25 years of missing her into this moment. She made a sound. Her hands gripped my shoulders, then my hair. My hands found her waist, pulled her against me. We were kissing in the hallway like teenagers, like no time had passed. When we finally broke apart, we were both breathing hard. We should go, I said. See the town, our places, before this gets out of hand. Maybe I want it to get out of hand. Her lips were swollen, eyes bright. Later, I promise. But first, let me show you everything. She nodded, tried to compose herself. We got in my car. I drove us through town slowly, past the bank that used to be our cafe, past the closed movie theater, past the high school. Everything looked smaller, sadder. Do you remember working at the cafe? I asked. How could I forget? That's where everything started. You told me you loved me and I kissed you. Best decision I ever made, telling you. Even though it led to everything falling apart, I don't regret it. We drove to the park, got out. This feels like time travel, she said, sitting down, starting to swing gently. We're not 19 anymore, though. We're 44 with responsibilities and lives that don't include each other. Don't think about that yet. We have 2 days. Let's just pretend we're those girls again. Okay, 2 days of pretending. We swung for a while, then she stopped. Came to stand in front of me. Remember our first real kiss? You were so nervous. Your hands were shaking because I'd never kissed a girl before. Didn't know what I was doing. You were perfect. She reached out, pulled me up from the swing. Show me. Kiss me like you kissed me that night. I cupped her face in both hands, looked at her, memorizing this moment. Then I kissed her, slow, tender, the way I'd kissed her that first night when everything was new and terrifying. She melted into me, arms around my waist. We kissed standing by the swings where we'd fallen in love. When we pulled back, she was crying. Why are you crying? Because this feels like coming home. Because I've been lost for 25 years and suddenly I'm found. She wiped her eyes. Because I don't know how I'm going to leave you again. Then don't think about it. Okay. We got back in the car. I drove us into the hills, to the lookout point. The view was still beautiful. Valleys spread out below. Autumn colors. River winding through. We stood at the railing. I'd forgotten how pretty this is, she said. I think about this view sometimes. When everything in Canada is gray. She turned to me. What else do you think about? You, always you. What about me? Everything. The way you laughed, the way you'd kiss me, the way you tasted. The sounds you made when I touched you. Her breathing quickened. Beth, the way your body felt, the way you'd say my name. Stop, but she didn't mean it. Why? She grabbed my jacket, pulled me close, kissed me hard. When we broke apart, we were both shaking. I got a hotel room, I said, outside town. No one will know us there. You planned this, I hoped. She smiled. Take me there. I don't want to wait anymore. The hotel was small, anonymous. I'd checked in that morning. We went straight to the room. Basic but private hours. Amber set her purse down. Looked around. This is really happening. Only if you want it to. I want it. I've wanted it for 25 years. I crossed the room, stood in front of her. We can go slow. We have less than 2 days. That's not enough. Not nearly enough. She kissed me hard, her hands pulling at my jacket, my shirt. We stumbled toward the bed. Shed clothes, clumsy, desperate. Slow down, I breathed. Let me look at you. She stopped, stood there in her bra and jeans. I'm not 19. Everything's changed. You're still the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I reached behind her, unhooked her bra, let it fall. Perfect, I whispered. I kissed her collarbone, her shoulder lower. She made soft sounds. We fell onto the bed, skin against skin. Finally, no barriers. I've missed this, she breathed. I've missed you. I'm here. I took my time, kissed every inch of her, relearned her body. Found places that made her gasp. Her hands were in my hair. She was moving beneath me, restless. Please, she whispered. Please what? Touch me. I moved lower. She opened for me. Let me love her, she cried out. Her body tensed. My name broke from her lips. When she came, she shattered. Beautiful and mine. She pulled me up, kissed me deep. Your turn. She pushed me onto my back, kissed down my body, taking her time. When her mouth found me, I forgot everything except sensation. The pleasure built. Rising, I was getting close. Don't stop, I gasped. She didn't. Brought me right to the edge. I was almost there. So close. About to fall over. And then my phone rang. Loud, insistent, shattering the moment. We both froze. Ignore it, she whispered, but it kept ringing. I reached over, saw David's name. My stomach dropped. I have to take this. I got up, went to the bathroom, closed the door, tried to calm my racing heart. Hello? Where are you? David asked. No greeting, just accusation. At my mom's, I told you. Emma wants to talk. Before I could respond, my daughter's voice came on. Mom, are you okay? Guilt crashed over me. I'm fine, sweetie. Just sad about my friend. When are you coming home? Day after tomorrow. Like I said. Okay, I miss you. I miss you too. We talked for a few more minutes. Normal things. Safe things that didn't require more lies. When I hung up, I stared at myself in the mirror. What was I doing? I had a daughter, a son, a husband. The door opened. Amber stood there. Everything okay? David was checking on me. Emma wanted to talk. Her face fell. Reality. Yeah. She came closer, wrapped her arms around me from behind. We looked at our reflection. We look good together, she said quietly. We do. But this isn't real, is it? I don't know. We stood there knowing this couldn't last, neither wanting to say it. Come back to bed, she said finally. Okay. We spent the rest of that day and night in the hotel room, making love, talking, trying to fit 25 years into 2 days. The next morning we ordered breakfast, ate in bed, made love again. That afternoon we drove around, visited our old spots, the park, the lookout point, places we'd kissed and dreamed and made promises. That night we went back to the hotel, made love slowly, savoring it, knowing our time was running out. I love you, she said as we moved together. I'll always love you. I love you too, always. We came together, crying, holding each other. Afterward, we lay there in the dark. What happens now? She asked. I don't know. We can't keep doing this. Having affairs. It's not fair, I know. But I don't want to lose you again. I don't want to lose you either. We didn't have answers. Just held each other until morning forced us to face reality. Morning came, we packed slowly, neither wanting to acknowledge it. I have a flight at 3, she said, back to Chicago. I'm driving back to Canada tomorrow, so this is it. We stood in that hotel room, 2 women who'd loved each other for decades, who'd found each other briefly, who had to let go again. But this time something was different. This time as we stood there, reality wasn't just knocking, it was crashing through the door. Amber, I said quietly, we need to talk. Really talk. About what? About what we're doing, what this means. She sat on the edge of the bed. Okay. I sat beside her. These 2 days have been incredible. But we both know this can't continue. Why not? We could do long distance, visit when we can. Video calls. And then what? We keep having affairs. Keep lying to our families. What's the alternative? Go back to being miserable. Amber, listen to me. I took her hands. I've been thinking about this all night. About us. About our husbands. About our kids. What about them? They don't deserve this. What we're doing to them. She pulled her hands away. We don't deserve to be miserable either. No. But we made choices. We chose to marry them. We chose to have children with them. We were forced. We didn't have a choice. We did have a choice. My voice was firm. At 19, we had a choice. We could have fought. We could have refused to leave. We could have run away together. We were kids. We were terrified. I know. And I'm not saying we should have known better. But we made the choice to give up. To let our parents separate us. And then we made more choices. She was crying now. What are you saying? I'm saying we chose to marry men we didn't love. We chose to have children with them. Those were our choices, and we can't undo them without hurting innocent people. So we just stay miserable forever. David is a good man, Amber. He doesn't deserve to be cheated on. He doesn't deserve to find out his wife has been lying to him all the time. Mark is the same. But I can't keep living with him knowing I don't love him. Then that's on us. That's our fault for marrying them in the first place. I wiped my eyes. We trapped them. We trapped our kids. We built entire lives on lies. So what? We just accept that. Live in misery because we made mistakes when we were young. No, but we also cannot fix those mistakes by being selfish now. She stood up, started pacing. This is not fair. No, it's not. But think about our kids, Amber. Sophie is 15. If you leave Mark now, if you come out, how will that affect her? She'd adjust. Would she, or would she be devastated? Would she blame herself? Would she lose respect for you for lying to her all these years? Amber stopped pacing. You don't know that. I know that Emma asked me yesterday if I was okay. She said I've seemed sad for a while. She's 14 and she can already see I'm not happy. My voice broke. What am I teaching her? That you should stay in relationships that kill you? Or that you should blow up your family when it gets hard? It's not just hard, Beth, it's unbearable. I know, but we did this. We created this situation. And our kids didn't ask to be born into it. Amber sat back down, buried her face in her hands. So what are you saying? That we just never see each other again? I'm saying we can't keep doing this. These stolen moments, these affairs. It's not fair to anyone. Life isn't fair. We lost 25 years because people told us we were wrong for loving each other. And whose fault is that really? She looked up at me. What? Whose fault is it that we lost 25 years? Our parents, the town, society? Yes, all of them. Or is it ours? For being too scared to fight. She flinched like I'd hit her. We were 19, I continued, old enough to make our own choices. And we chose to run. We chose to hide. We chose to marry people we didn't love because it was easier than being brave. We were terrified. I know. So was I, but that doesn't change the fact that we made choices. And those choices had consequences. And now other people are paying for our cowardice. Tears were streaming down both our faces now. David doesn't deserve this, I said quietly. He's been a good husband, a great father. Yes, I don't love him, but that's not his fault. That's mine. For marrying him, knowing I couldn't love him. Mark is the same. He loves me. He's good to me. And I've been lying to him for 20 years. And our kids. God, our kids. They're growing up watching these hollow marriages and thinking that's what love looks like. So what do? We go home. We stay in our marriages. We focus on being the best parents we can be and just forget about us. No, we'll never forget. But we accept that we had our chance when we were young and we didn't take it. And now it's too late. Amber stood up, walked to the window, looked out at the parking lot. I can't believe this is happening again. I can't believe we're saying goodbye again. This time, it's different. How? This time, we're not doing it because we're scared. We're doing it because it's right. Because we love our children more than we love ourselves. She turned to face me. Do you really believe that? That staying in loveless marriages is the right thing? I believe our kids deserve stable homes. I believe David and Mark deserve partners who at least try. I believe we don't get to blow up for people's lives just because we're finally being honest about who we are, even if it means dying inside. Even then, she crossed the room, stood in front of me. I hate this. I hate everything about this. So do I. We could have had everything if we'd just been braver at 19. I know, but we weren't. She cupped my face in her hands. I will love you until the day I die. You know that, right? I know I'll love you too, always. This is really goodbye. Yeah. She kissed me, soft, final, tasting like tears and regret and 27 years of love. When she pulled back, she picked up her bag. I can't do a long goodbye. I can't stand here and drag this out. I understand. Take care of yourself, Beth. You too. She walked to the door, put her hand on the handle, looked back one last time. For what it's worth, she said, these 2 days were worth all the pain. Just to know you still loved me. That what we had was real. It was worth it, I agreed. Then she opened the door and left. And I sat there in that empty hotel room and let myself break completely. I went back to my mom's house, packed my things, tried to pull myself together. My mom found me sitting on my bed, staring at nothing. She left. Mom asked, "Yeah, are you okay?" "No, but I will be, eventually." Mom sat beside me. What did you two decide? That we can't be together. That we have responsibilities. That we made our choices 25 years ago, and now we have to live with them. That's very mature. I looked at her. Mom, I need you to know something. I'm going to stay married to David. I'm going to go home and be the best mother I can be to Emma and Jake. But I'm never going to be happy. Not really. And that's the price I'm paying for being too scared to fight for what I wanted when I was 19. Beth. No, let me finish. I don't want you to feel guilty. This was my choice. But I also want you to understand what it cost. Me and Amber both. We're going to spend the rest of our lives trapped in marriages we never wanted because we were too afraid to be ourselves. Maybe it's not too late. Maybe you could still. It is too late, Mom. We have kids. They didn't ask to be born. They deserve stable homes. And David and Mark, they're good men who don't deserve to have their lives destroyed because we finally decided to be honest. She was crying. I'm so sorry for all of it. I know, but sorry doesn't change anything. I flew back to Canada the next day. David picked me up from the airport. How was it? He asked as we drove home. Sad, but okay. Did it help, being there? I don't know, maybe. We drove in silence. He didn't push, didn't ask questions, just accepted my surface answer like he always did. Emma and Jake were happy to see me. They hugged me, told me about their week, normal kid stuff. I hugged them back and made a silent promise. I would stay. I would be present. I would give them the stable home they deserved, even if it killed me inside. That night, I lay in bed next to David. He fell asleep quickly, started snoring softly. I stared at the ceiling and thought about Amber, wondered if she'd made it home, if her daughters were happy to see her, if Mark suspected anything. I wondered if she was lying in bed next to him, thinking about me the way I was thinking about her. I wondered if we'd ever stop thinking about each other. Ever stop missing what we could have had? Probably not. This was our punishment, our price, for being cowards at 19 and then making all the wrong choices after. We'd spend the rest of our lives trapped in marriages we didn't want, dying slowly, all because we'd been too afraid to fight, and there was no one to blame but ourselves. 2 years passed. 2 years of going through the motions, of waking up next to David, of raising my kids, of working my job, of pretending everything was fine. I never contacted Amber. She never contacted me. We'd agreed. Clean break. Final goodbye. I wondered about her sometimes. If she was still in Chicago, if she was still married, if she thought about me. But I didn't look for her online. Didn't check to see if she'd finally created a real social media presence. Didn't torture myself trying to find glimpses of her life. I just lived, day by day, going through the motions. Emma was 16 now, talking about college, about her future. She still asked me sometimes if I was okay. I still told her I was fine. Jake was 14, growing up so fast, becoming his own person. He was happier than Emma. Didn't notice as much, or maybe he just didn't want to see. David and I barely spoke anymore. We were roommates, co-parents, two strangers sharing a house. I'd stopped hoping it would get better, stopped wishing for something different. This was my life now. This was my forever. And somewhere in Chicago, Amber was living her own version of the same existence. To women who'd loved each other for 27 years, who'd had 2 perfect days, who'd chosen duty over happiness, who'd spend the rest of their lives wondering what if. Maybe in another life we'll meet again, and I'll never let you slip away. Most people who finally come out do it young. About 57% by 22, 71% by 30. Only around 1 in 10 wait until much later in life, and nearly 18% never come out at all. And the waiting isn't quiet. Young adults usually take about 3 years to move from knowing the truth to actually saying it. Seniors take closer to 10. 7 extra years of carrying something heavy inside their chest. Research also shows this clearly. Hiding who you are doesn't just sit in the background. It's linked to higher anxiety, higher depression, and a steady drop in relationship satisfaction. People who hide big parts of themselves from their partner report more conflict and less emotional closeness. The effects are real, even if they don't translate neatly into big percentages. And fear plays a huge role. Studies show many people stay in relationships they don't want simply because they're scared of letting down their families. Silence becomes the decision for them. So I'm telling you this story because I don't want you to make the same mistakes I made. I don't want you to grow old lying next to someone you don't love, wondering where your life went. I don't want you to meet the love of your life when you're young and then let fear tear you apart. I don't want you to marry someone just because it's easier than being honest. I don't want you to have children while knowing you're living a lie. If you're listening to this and you're hiding who you are, don't wait. Don't wait until you're old and trapped. Don't wait until you've built a life of lies you can't escape without hurting innocent people. Don't wait until you've wasted decades pretending to be someone you're not. Come out now, today, this minute. Yes, people might judge you. Yes, your family might be disappointed. Yes, your life might get messy. But you know what's worse? Living a lie for decades, missing out on real love, teaching your children to be afraid. All of that is worse than whatever you're scared of right now. Don't wait for someday. Don't assume you have time. Someday might never come. Time runs out faster than you think. And once you make the choices I made, once you build a life on deception, there's no way out that doesn't hurt people. I'll probably die in this marriage, die having never really lived, die having never been my true self except for 2 stolen days and 1 perfect summer 27 years ago. Don't let that be your story. Be brave now, before you wake up decades from now and realize you wasted everything. I can't get back what I lost. But you can stop yourself from losing it in the first place. Be braver than I was. Live the life I never lived. Love the way I never got to love. Do it for yourself. Do it for the people you'll trap if you don't. Do it for the children you might have someday who deserve parents who are whole and honest. Just do it before it's too late, because we only get one life.
I reach out in the dark, but you are far away, like a shadow on the wall that the light cannot stay. Every road that I walk brings me back to your name. Every night in my bed feels a little the same. In the sky you shine small, but you shine bright. A tiny star that kept me warm through every quiet night. One day we love like summer never ends. 2 hearts burning like we never had to bend. Now the years keep pulling us apart, but you still live inside my heart. One day we stood so close, now we drift like sand. Every time I reach out, I cannot touch your hand. Maybe in another life we will meet again. Till then you stay in every breath I take. We walk so far on roads that were never the same, side by side in memories that still whisper your name. Life moved on, but the emptiness stayed. A quiet ache behind the smile I made. In my mind you are soft like a warm echo, a place I visit when the nights grow slow. years keep pulling us apart, but you still live inside my heart. One day we stood so close, now we drift like sand. Every time I reach out, I cannot touch your hand. Maybe in another life we will meet again. Till then you stay in every breath I take. If our hearts meet again beyond this life, where no tears, no distance, no wrong or right, I will hold what I lost, what I could not say. In that place where love does not fade. One day we love like summer never ends. Two hearts burning like we never had to bend. Now the years keep pulling us apart, but you still live inside my heart. One day we stood so close, now we drift like sand. Every time I reach out, I cannot touch your hand. Maybe in another life we will meet again. Till then you stay in every breath I take.
Thank you for watching Sapphic Story Hour. Please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Until next time, bye-bye.